What if I told you that you might be leaving millions of dollars for your future retirement on the table? It's this one little mistake that probably 90% of medical professionals make. It is a simple, one-time, completely avoidable error, but the financial consequences can be devastating. Stick with me for a few minutes and you'll know exactly what it is and how to fix it before 2025 even ends. I'm Kristen Burton. I'm the founder of Millionaires in Medicine and a critical care PA, where we teach medical professionals how to earn more, pay less on their student loan debt, and invest to build wealth. Today, we aren't talking about some new complex investing strategy or risky asset class. We're talking about a single button, one in your employer retirement portal that you likely clicked once and then totally forgot about. And with the new IRS rules hitting in 2026, missing this one thing will end up costing you not a few thousand, not tens of thousands, but even potentially millions in future wealth. Let me tell you about a client. We'll call her Sarah. She's a rock star cardiothoracic surgery PA, and she came to us after having been investing for many years. She had set and forget her 401k contribution 4 or 5 years ago to what was maximally allowed at that time. And then she never checked it again. In some cases, set it and forget it will cost you, and in this case, it was costing her every single year. In order to accommodate inflation, the IRS will update what you can put in tax-advantaged accounts on an annual basis. We're going to walk through what the changes are for 2026, make sure you are set up to take full advantage of these tax-advantaged accounts, and figure out how to maximize your money in the year to come. First, let's look at 401ks and 403bs. For 2025, the contribution limit was $23,500. In 2026, it is going up to $24,500. If you're over 50, you can make catch-up contributions of $8,000. And if you're between 60 and 63, you can make super catch-up contributions on top of that. It's important to note that the total 401k max has gone up to $72,000. This is particularly helpful for those of you that are 1099 out there utilizing a solo 401k. Your solo 401k employee plus employer contributions can be up to that $72,000 max. For W-2 folks, this is less applicable. What about a Roth IRA, right? Many medical professionals invest in Roth IRAs either through direct contributions or through a backdoor Roth IRA if your income exceeds the limit for making direct Roth IRA contributions. For 2025, the limit was $7,000. They have increased it for 2026 to $7,500. If you're over 50, you can make a catch-up contribution. Not of $1,000 because that would be reasonable and make sense, but in fact, $1,100. Why? Whatever. Who knows, right? $1,100 is the catch-up contribution to a Roth IRA if you're over the age of 50. Now, please recall that contribution limit is between traditional and Roth IRAs combined. However, pay close attention if you're using a traditional IRA and make sure that your income is not in the limit where you phase out of getting a tax deduction or get no tax deduction at all. If you've been hanging with me for a while, you know that an HSA is actually one of my favorite accounts to invest in because it is triple tax advantage and in fact, the most tax favored way to invest across the board, period. The contribution limits for 2026 have increased. For an individual, it is $4,400. For family, $8,750. And if you are over 55 and not enrolled in Medicare, you can contribute an additional $1,000 a year. Now, you might be listening to this going, Kristen, how in the world would I max out a 401k and a Roth IRA and an HSA? Well, let me tell you how, okay? As a medical professional, you likely earn 6 figures. Some of us clear 200K as PAs or NPs because we're strategic with our income. If that's not you yet, go watch this video. Let's make it you. But the rest of us, all of us, will earn 6 figures, right? So what does it look like to max out all 3 of those accounts? Well, if your income is on the higher end, like I mentioned, at $182,000 per year, that is only actually investing 20% of your gross, which is our bare minimum recommendation for all medical professionals just to retire in your mid-60s with the same inflation-adjusted standard of living. So if you're earning $182,000 or above, you should be maxing out all 3 of these accounts. If you're earning $146,000 per year, you can max out all three of these with an investing rate of 25%. Very reasonable, very achievable, and in fact, a lot of our folks are doing it. If you earn $121,000, which by the way is below the median salary for PAs, you can max out all three accounts with an investing rate of 30%. And you can still max them all out, even making $104,000 if your investing rate is 35%. Now, if you're going, Kristen, how in the world would someone invest 35% of their income? Well, you're looking at somebody who invested over 50% of income for years, even with kids. So it's 1,000% possible if you are strategic about your overhead. Now, I won't get into the nuances of this or belabor any political points, but here are the tax brackets for 2026. For most PAs and NPs, you're still going to fall in a 24% federal tax bracket. For single filers, in order to land at that highest federal bracket of 37%, your income has to exceed $640,000 a year. If you're married filing jointly, that number increases to $768,000 a year. For PAs, NPs, and pharmacists, it's unlikely you're going to be in this highest bracket. That is reserved for our lovely subspecialized surgical colleagues, right? Now, the standard deduction has also increased for 2026. If you're a single filer, it's $16,100. Married filing jointly, it's $32,200. So the majority of filers are going to end up taking advantage of the standard deduction, with few exceptions of folks who will benefit from itemizing. Make sure that you discuss this with your CPA. Now, I would be remiss when giving 2026 updates if I didn't mention this one really cool hack for those medical professionals out there like myself who are parents. If you have childcare expenses, which let's be real, most of us do, and most of them are mortgage-sized monthly payments, you should be utilizing two things to make sure that you're doing it in the most tax-advantaged way. The first is a dependent care FSA. I don't like medical FSAs in particular because they're a use it or lose it, but a dependent care FSA is a beautiful thing. Childcare, for most of us, is a very predictable, repeatable expense. So you can ensure any money you contribute will get used by the end of the year, and you can save a lot of money in taxes by making those pre-tax contributions, spending that money on an expense that you already know for sure will be there, and ensuring that you don't miss utilization of any of those funds. On top of the dependent care FSA, you should evaluate whether or not you're a candidate for the child and dependent care credit. This is a way that you can actually take a tax credit, a non-refundable tax credit, but a tax credit for money that you spent on childcare. Now, dependent care benefits that you receive from your employer can lower this amount, but outside of that, the maximum is up to $6,000. Now, your FSA contributions count for reducing this, right? You can't double dip there. But for a lot of us, our childcare expenses exceed even the dependent care FSA limit. And so the ability to use both will shelter additional income from tax for an expense that you're going to pay no matter what. So as a PA, as an NP, as a pharmacist, do not make this money mistake in 2026. If you have set your employer contributions to max out your 401k and you did it 5 years ago, or you've even just set it at a random percent of income and you have not checked back, you need to take a good long look at what your contribution is, determine if you can max out the account for 2026, which I hope you will, and then adjust your contribution accordingly. Same thing goes for your Roth IRA contribution, same thing for your HSA contribution. Remember as well, I'm talking about using your HSA as a tool to invest. If you're just making contributions and you're not doing anything beyond that, you're not going in and selecting investment funds, you're not investing your HSA, it is a checking style account. Pro tip. If you want all of this in a quick, easy, printable guide so that you can just check things off one by one, click below. We have a free resource for you on 2026 tax updates.